God. Fuck. Hang in there, titties. You're gonna be okay.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Peacemaker Season 2 recap and review. Before we get started, hit that like, subscribe button. We are almost to 600 subscribers, so if you're new to the channel, new to tuning into this, and even if you are returning, hit that like button at least. Let's the algorithm know what's up. And if you're a gaming fan, I will have a unboxing Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater Collector's Edition coming in later tonight. And with that, Episode 2 of Peacemaker Season 2 is titled A Man It's Only As Good As His Bird. Picks up right where Season 2 premiere left off. After killing his alternate universe self in Episode 1, Chris is left with a huge problem hiding the body. He turns to the one person who wouldn't ask questions, Adrian Chase, aka Vigilante. The two attempt to stash a doppelganger's body inside the quantum unfolding storage unit, but the plan fails, and instead we get a hilarious and slightly disturbing montage of Chris and Adrian dismembering the disposing body. And it's dark humor at its best, and it's something else, okay? I was even sitting there thinking to myself, I was like, man, if I had to do that to myself, probably not. Chris also discovers his alternate self has a phone and quickly becomes obsessed with the other life that he could have had, scrolling through old photos, seeing that him and Harcourt had a relationship at some point, maybe still do. Drunk and spiraling, Chris crosses back into that alternate universe and takes her using Doppelganger's phone. And meanwhile, Augie and Keith are on the hunt for their missing Chris, setting up more multiverse drama for later episodes. And that's how the episode ends. So Chris confides on Adebayo earlier in the episode about the quantum storage unit and its connection to 99 different universes, and she urges him to tell Argus. And, you know, he's stubborn, so of course he doesn't do so, and that's going to set up for disaster, clearly. Now, the team has a lot of personal struggles this episode that I really love. Chris ends up dealing with his spiraling obsession. The rest of the gang isn't really doing much better. Adebayo has a moment with Kia, holding out hope for reconciliation that may never come with that relationship. Harcourt struggles to find work and has a funny-ass scene in the drugstore and is actually mistaken for a domestic abuse victim. Economos is miserable at Argus and forced to deal with a new co-worker, Langston Fleury, played by Tim Meadows, whose constant chatter and sarcastic comments. Jesus, I'm just... This man, when he showed up, when he calls homegirl titties in this movie, or not in the movie, but like in this show, is so funny. Like the scene where she gets bit by Eagly or pecked, and he's like, "Stay with me, titties." I was about to piss myself when that happened. Now, before the Eagly attack, we get a party scene showing that despite all their fractured past, the gang reunites and offers a fun reminder of why the group dynamic worked so well in the first season. They dance, drink, and there's heartfelt conversations between Adebayo and Economos about Chris and Harcourt's potential relationship. But it wouldn't be Peacemaker without conflict. Chris goes to Harcourt, and you know, she doesn't really want to admit she's probably got some feelings, and it's a small moment, but it highlights the tension between them and teases future complications. Now, Argus starts to move in this episode because the show ramps up when you learn at the beginning that Chris and Rick Flag Sr. are at odds, because now the Argus director, Flag, gains access to the files about his son's death, and you get that played out, so showing you that at least that scene for sure in Suicide Squad is canon, and Flag is now got all sights on Chris. They break into the house. They don't want to tell Economos anything clearly, and this is where Eagly goes John Wick. What happens next is hands down probably the funniest part of this show. Highlight episode for sure. Eagly just fucks these dudes up. I can't even say. There's nothing else that happens. Like, they don't get a shot in. They don't do anything. He pulls out an eyeball. It's fucking crazy. It can't even comprehend what's happening before them, because I kept saying it too, because the new guy, he kept saying he had like bird, like he couldn't see him or whatever, like the bird blindness. And I just sat there and I was like, this is going to come back at some point in this show, maybe later on the end of the season, something like that. And I just kept thinking to myself, I never once was thinking, oh, Eagly's a bird, idiot. I just like, oh, this is going to come back at some point, wherever it's the same episode it came back. He learned real quick not to mess with Eagly. This dude cleaned house. Now, episode 1 is focused on the multiverse setup clearly, and episode 2 is leaning into that hard storytelling. I actually think that it's awesome that we're getting a slow burn. It's not chaotic. You've got some foolish humor, clearly, and stand-up performances from John Cena. But I really love that he has a conflicted version of this Chris. Tim Meadows is funny as the new addition in this episode. And Eagly still is the show. So for me, this final verdict for episode 2, I think I liked it more than episode 1, honestly. Even though episode 1 had the Justice Gang and some direct DC comparisons. The only real Easter egg I picked up was that Adebayo's ex was talking about going to Gotham, which I thought was funny, because, like, why would anybody in their right mind in the DC universe want to move to Gotham? Out of any place, Metropolis, Central City, Star City, anywhere, any city, any place, why would you go to Gotham willingly? And that's the only, like, Easter egg I could really pick up that I just noticed. But this was a good episode, a good slow burn. I figured with this, I think it's going to be 8 episodes, I think. With us going in episode 3 next week, he's definitely in that universe for sure, as we saw. I think that they're definitely going to start ramping up. I don't know if we're going to get a crazy action scene next week, but I expect it to definitely start ramping up some more. I'm glad the team was together. That was my complaint with last week's episode, that, like, Adrian, for example, while he was there, he was just on the phone with Economos. And so I like that everybody got not only their own time to shine this episode, but they were all together. So bringing back some of those memories, and got a little theory I didn't say in my first episode. And I'm proud to say that I feel like I was the first person to come with this theory. I was talking about it to a friend the other day, and I didn't see anything online, saw stuff on it today, yes, of course. But I really think that with them being good guys on the new Earth, why the fuck would Rick Flag, like, Jr. be dead? And so I bet that's one of the big cameos that James Gunn's talking about. I don't know if they're going to BS it and somehow pull him into that, like, the new universe and somehow keep him alive. Or if they're just going to, like, kind of like have, like, another send-off or something like that. But I expect to see him for sure, because I'm like, why would you not do that? And so, yeah, comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on these cameos James Gunn's been talking about. I've got some theories. I know Blue Beetle's, like, still canon. So I don't know if we'd maybe see him. Maybe see, trying to think. We've got Blue Beetle talking about Rick Flag Jr. I would be down to see, like, maybe the Green Lanterns, maybe a Green Lantern. It's not Guy Gardner. And, you know, I don't know what to expect, but he just acts like it's going to be insane. So let me know your thoughts on this insanity. And with that, catch you guys on next week's review and recap on episode 3.
My God. Fuck. Hang in there, Titties. You're gonna be okay.